My name is Nathaniel Gil Etubong, and I'm actually in Year 1, Semester 3 Architecture course. Well, inspiring must have, it's like a really something that I think about a lot of time, because inspired by parents, inspired by something that I've seen before. So in terms of inspiring myself is basically how I see other people, other architects build their buildings. And it's quite amazing how they build into consideration of human and environment. So I think one of the inspiring parts of architecture is I wanted to help people in terms of building and architecture that is really nice. I think the struggle that I've faced in architecture so far is creativity, because architecture is all about creativity, and actually designing something is quite difficult. You have to thought about the process that you actually have to go into for design. You have to consider about the simple things that added into design. For example, the added things of environment, like I mentioned before, and some little stuff that you might not see, but it's actually really important in designing. So all of these things makes architecture a struggle. But the cost is also another thing. You have to spend a lot of money just to create something that is nice. For example, the model that we all are making so far. So I think that's one of the struggle, and maybe other struggle for other architect students.
Hi, I'm Liang Cheng, Year 2 Sem 1 from Architecture. Well, to me, architecture is one of the most suitable tools to visualize my ideas as compared to maybe graphic design and game design. Architecture allows me to put my ideas into a physical space and let others experience it better for themselves. D-Day is the final day for each of our architectural course. In a D-Day, we usually submit our project to our lecturers. We present what we have done, all our hard work that have started since the start of the project, and the ins and outs of our models, why we do this and why we design it like that, what is the benefits and the concepts to our lecturers. I think as an architect, one should have an above average skill in mathematics and physics, because you are required to calculate the beam spans, wall heights. But in the real world scenario, you can have help from engineers and all your other mates. But in terms of drawing skills, I think that is quite required, because it helps you visualize ideas better. However, if you do not have a steady hand in drawing, which I think many don't have, you can have drawing tools to assist you in drawing steadier lines and whichever drawings you need, whether it be plan or sections. The greatest challenge and struggle that we face during our design is actually time, because we are tasked to complete our project and our model within such a short time frame. So sometimes it's difficult to get our ideas completed, get our models, our plans, our A1s completed within that time frame. And for some of us, our ideas are constantly changing. You may find something better, something more suitable for your concept. But usually, with the allowed time, you're not really allowed to change that much if you want to submit it on time. So that's one of the greater challenges that we face.
Hi, I'm Madhavan, and I am currently in my final semester of my third year architecture degree. I think this goes back to my schooling days, because when I was schooling, I really loved arts, but at the same time I also really loved science. When I was looking through career options, I felt like architecture was that one type of career where you actually blend both of the arts and science. So I think that was one of the main reasons why I took architecture. And the more once I got deep into architecture, I really realized that it's basically part of our daily life, where we live, the spaces that we are. So day by day, as more as I live, I realized that architecture is a part of us. So I feel that's what inspired me to enter this career, enter this job. For architecture, we have like quite a lot of software that we use, like for example, drafting our plans and like 3D drawings. Mostly I use AutoCAD. And then like for 3D modeling, I commonly use SketchUp. Besides that, for like rendering, like coming up with realistic 3D visualizations, I use software like Lumion and also D5 Render. And about proficiency, I believe like it's like every day you learn, you like get better at it. So like I just started, I'm in my 3rd year degree now, but like every day I use it, I get better. So for the sake of, I guess, completing my assignments and like my submissions, I'm quite good at it, but like there's a lot more to learn. To my understanding, like design, like there's 2 things, design intention and design concept. But design intention is mainly what you want to like achieve from your design, like what is the feelings that you want your users to actually feel when you're in your design. So those are your intentions. But the concept is basically like the guideline of how you actually achieve these kind of feelings. It's like the languages that you use architecturally and like how you curate your spaces. So this is like the guideline that you use is what we call the design concept. So like there's quite a difference there, and it's very important to like integrate both of this into your design, as I feel like if you have a solid intention and concept, you'll have a really successful design. So like in our 3 years here, like learning architecture, this is one thing that we like really need to solidify and learn. So it will really help us improve like once we actually go into the work field. I feel like if you have a proper design intention and design concept, it really eases the way you design. You actually like design your spaces. For example, once you know how you want your users to feel in your design, this way you're able to know how big you want your spaces to be, how small they want, and you will really know what kind of features you can add in. So like knowing what kind of intention and what kind of concept you're going to incorporate into your design, it really eases up your design thinking and really speeds up the process. So it's quite important, I feel. Oh, there's a lot of difference. From my experience in my internship, like in school, when you're learning, you learn about a lot of elaborate design, a lot of abstract things to do, and yeah, you can be really creative in what you do. But once you actually enter the work field, you're really constrained into like certain like guidelines, like building codes and things like that. And I believe it's way more hectic because you got to meet your clients, got to go to the site very often. So the lifestyle change between being a student and actually being an architect in the working field is very drastic, I feel. Yeah, there's been a lot of dramas, but I think a lot of good memories have also been built like throughout my years here. But I think one of the greatest memories will definitely be staying back in studio overnight, over a few days, just doing your work, and also just being with the friends, you know, looking at other people do their work and, you know, working together. You're like also suffering together basically. So it helps us like, you know, it doesn't feel that stressful. And, you know, when you're in studio with your friends overnight, you get to blast music, watch movies. Just like overall, I feel it's a really good experience. Like overall 3 years, you face a lot of bad things, but at the same time with all your friends, you actually like help each other out, and it's a very good experience being together with everyone.
Hi, my name is Fernando. I am an architect from Portugal, and I've been in UTAR for about 12 years in architecture also. I started in education in UTAR. That's, I would say, is the same challenges that society faces. I think climate change is a big challenge for all of us, and how architecture will have to adapt to the climate change, to the weather changes, make more energy efficient buildings, but also in terms of health, also making buildings that are more healthy, more conducive for human health and human well-being. So I think that is human well-being, ecological changes, I think will be the largest challenge that future students will have to deal with. I think obviously I also use the websites especially to know about the latest buildings that were made and where and what is some of the news. But I think it's also important to go deeper in certain subjects and get to maybe order some books and read books also on certain architects that we like and their work, to go a bit deeper into their work basically. Or even in certain topics like biophilic design, for instance, where you can find more information reading a book than usually you can get from the news on the web pages. So I think that reading from books and of course keeping updated with the latest happenings in architecture and design is important. Yeah, there are many differences. I'd say one probably comes because of the different cultural developments. So how architecture developed and the region also the resources that were available here in terms of the materials that were readily available. Another one was probably the climate. So every architecture develops relating to its climate, answering to the climate, and the climate is very different, obviously. And so our architecture is mostly trying to make buildings more closed, more protected from the weather outside, while the architecture here is more open, can be more open. So that makes a big difference. So ours is more physical. Our walls are thicker, more closed usually, because you're trying to minimize the waste of energy and losing the heat because of the winter. The winter can kill you. While the hot weather, you can actually have ventilation and kind of opening the windows in a way, or the spaces. So that makes a big difference. So I would say it's more solid, more in terms of the materials also, more closed. There are many differences in terms of the culture, of course. Even I would say you cannot talk about an Asian architecture or even a Malaysian architecture. There are many different types of styles going to different states. So it's quite diverse also. Obviously in the West there's a lot of diversity, but the weather makes a huge impact in our architecture, yes.
I'm Yong Songje. Many calls me Mr. Rocks. So I was teaching in UTAR for around 2.5 years. So before I joined UTAR, I was teaching design software as a trainer in my own academy, Creator Design Studio. Firstly, for the architect, I believe that we are in an era of the world economy is going slightly down, slightly slow. So maybe new construction also getting less. Yeah. So to me, one of the challenges is architects has to be very flexible. So you have to adapt to different kind of development projects. For example, you have to, nowadays renovation project might grow, and some of the repurpose of the buildings and so on. So architects has to adapt to these kind of changes so they can survive well and make their business. Yeah. Well, for architecture students, nowadays with all the digitalization and entertainments everywhere, so I think for architecture students, it takes some challenges for the students to able to focus, get away from the distractions, to get excellence in their studies. For me, maybe I can share like 2 ways for this. So one is I will still following those, let's say for the social medias, still following those relevant pages or accounts that talks about architecture. So means your leisure time or entertainment time when you're scrolling your social media, your IG, 小红书, okay? Now it's more about also something about your career, your professions. So I think this is very helpful. Also YouTube's, listen more to the videos, watch more videos about relevant to your career. And then next thing is for me, even though I'm teaching, I will still involve myself in some construction projects, so or maybe renovations. With this, I will still go to shop around. I go to the home expo in the shopping malls and so on to go to shop the latest furnitures of house fittings available in the market now. So to understand the market trend. So we talk with the suppliers, manufacturers, to know what is the latest materials or trend available.
My name is Sebastian Yao from Department of Architecture and Sustainable Design. I'm the HOP for Master of Architecture. After working in Hong Kong for 4 years and Shanghai for 6 years, I returned to Malaysia and worked in the teaching field for 13 years up to today. The most challenging facing architects today from academic or industry, I think there are a couple of things. One is the influx of informations readily available, free, yet, but there's a bunch of very misleading information, especially from the computer that we are easily accessible now, especially on the smartphone. Those inaccurate information are leading to very interesting in a way, but also misleading information or output that is causing industry some issues. Right, again, because due to influx of information readily free available on the internet, such as AI nowadays, actually quite interested what they can bring to the industry. I even have asked my students in certain instances that generate interesting initial ideas using AI to give a different perspective of things that we may not be doing in the past, but can be something interesting nowadays. We can try out that in that direction. UTAR architecture students very similar to any students from other institutions. They have the issue of believe everything they see on the smartphone, and they may not be able to clearly assess it properly before utilizing this information. So this sometimes can be quite challenging for us to guide them to research in the correct perspective using those free available information on the internet, especially those they see it on their smartphone. With the multi-language advantage of Malaysian students, especially from UTAR, I strongly will encourage students from our program to explore not just locally, but explore to other regions, Asia, ASEAN region, such as China, such as Japan, Korea, Taiwan, even our neighboring countries like Singapore, Indonesia, because not everyone are able to speak multiple language like most of our students can do so. With this language ability, you can explore more, you can learn more, you can maybe achieve more. That is something what I experienced when I finished my study in Singapore. I went to work in Hong Kong for 4 years and then work in China for 6 years. My multi-language ability have opened lots of doors for me. And I think our students can do so by taking advantage of these advantages. Not many people actually have that strength compared to us.